Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Many Tribes, One Kingdom. It's your good friend John here with today's video. And today we're going to be continuing our discussion of the Tabernacle. So stay tuned for that. We're specifically talking about the history of the Tabernacle. Stay tuned. Alright, the Tabernacle. Now, if you haven't watched part 1, I would highly recommend that you go watch that first. A lot of other stuff is going to make sense. And before we begin, I'd like to remind you that if you're new, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you enjoy videos with the Bible, faith, Christianity, the church, all that fun stuff. And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. Alright, so in our last video, we discussed the layout of the tabernacle itself. How it was set up, what components made up the tabernacle. Now, let's specifically talk about where it went through history. As you may know, we don't know where the tabernacle is right now, but we'll get to that. So, obviously, the tabernacle was first built at Mount Sinai. Go read Exodus chapters 25 through 40 for the whole story for that, of its construction and the care that was taken into it, the specific blueprints, instructions that God gave to Moses to set the tabernacle up. Go read those verses to understand it. The Israelites would carry the tabernacle with them in the wilderness, and whenever God would stop them, they would set the tabernacle up as the center. Then, once the Israelites crossed over to conquer the Promised Land in the book of Joshua, they first set the tabernacle up at Gilgal, where they have their camp. Once the Promised Land is conquered, they set it up at Shiloh, which is where it stays through the time of the Judges. And we first see it here, in 1 Samuel chapter 4, when it was taken care of by High Priest Eli, which we have a video on him too, so if you want to know more about him, go give that video a watch. At this point, the tabernacle and the Ark of the Covenant would be separated, so we'll talk about both of them. First, let's finish up with the tabernacle. At some point, it's moved to Nob until Saul has the family of priests there killed for helping David, in which case then it's moved to Gibeon. And it stays in Gibeon up through the reign of David and even into the reign of Solomon. This is the tabernacle that Moses built. The Ark of the Covenant, however, has a more interesting story. It is first taken by the Philistines in battle, and God triumphs over their pagan gods and punishes the Philistines for their lack of respect for him. Eventually, the Ark is sent back, and it stays in one place for 20 years before David ends up taking it to Jerusalem to put it in a tabernacle that he built. This tabernacle was probably pretty similar to the one that Moses had built. And it stays there until the time when Solomon builds the temple and the tabernacle is put into the temple. That's really all we have on the history of the tabernacle. However, there are a lot of speculations and questions as to what happened to it. As you know, we don't have the tabernacle today. So here are some of the most popular theories. One, it was respectfully retired after the temple was built. So it could have either just been placed in one of the many storage rooms of the temple as a holy relic of sorts, or an artifact, or it could have been burned to retire it. Two, some people believe that Solomon actually set the tabernacle up in the Holy of Holies in the temple. I don't remember who said this, but I did read someone said that. Another one is that it was set up inside the temple in one of the rooms, like I previously mentioned, but then when King Ahaz was paying the Assyrians off to attack his enemies, he gave them the pieces of the tabernacle. So, overall, we don't know where the tabernacle is. We also don't know where the Ark of the Covenant is. A lot of theories exist about where it could be. There is the idea that an Ethiopian church has it. I personally don't subscribe to that theory. I'm not going to go into it here, but I don't think they have it in Ethiopia. One document says that Jeremiah hid the ark, and it won't be revealed until the Israelites return to their land. That's possible. Don't know. That's not from a biblical source, so I'm not going to hold it for certain. Others believe that King Nebuchadnezzar took it when the Babylonians conquered Jerusalem. And others believe that it's still hidden somewhere underneath Jerusalem. There have been several claims to have found the Ark of the Covenant underneath Jerusalem. Again, I don't know about these. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, who knows. Overall, though, the Ark of the Covenant and even the Tabernacle are no longer what we need to worship God. Yes, the Tabernacle was needed at the time because the people were separated from God. But we obviously have Jesus now. We don't need the Ark or the Tabernacle. And we'll discuss the theological implications of that in part 3 of this series. So I'm very curious to hear your comments and your thoughts down below. What do you think happened to the Tabernacle, and what do you think happened to the Ark of the Covenant itself? There are so many theories and ideas about it. And no, it was not found by Indiana Jones in Egypt, so don't type that. I'm sorry, that was terrible. Excuse me. But that's really all we have. This one's a very short one. The Tabernacle itself, while it does have a significant role to play in the biblical narrative, we don't see it a ton of times. We see it up through the reign of David and Solomon, and then after that, we don't see it again. So, let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think happened to the Ark and what happened to the Tabernacle. I'm very curious. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Share it with your friends, your family, your loved ones, and your enemies. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day, and God bless you.